In this video, I will teach you 4 hacks that you can use to pronounce consonant clusters effortlessly. So don't go away. Hi everybody and welcome back to Lean English. I'm Ed and I'm here to help you achieve your pronunciation goals. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing consonant clusters, which can be difficult to pronounce if they don't exist in your native language. Some consonant clusters are so difficult to pronounce that even native speakers have trouble pronouncing them, but there are several hacks that we do to make them easy to pronounce in real conversation. So let's take a look at them in a bit more detail. So what is a consonant cluster? A consonant cluster is a sequence of 2 or more consonants at the beginning or end of a syllable. Each language has specific rules about which consonants can form clusters, and in English, initial clusters are usually formed by a plosive or fricative, plus a nasal, liquid or glide. For example, snake, flood, quick, 3, pure. Initial clusters can contain a maximum of 3 consonants, and the first sound in 3 consonant clusters is always s. For example, stress, split, stew, square. In contrast, final clusters can contain a maximum of 4 consonants, and they're formed in a variety of ways. Clusters of 3 or 4 consonants at the end of words are often found in third-person singular and past tense verbs and plural nouns. For example, helped, months, attempts, texts. Strictly speaking, consonant clusters are contained within a single syllable, but in this video I'll also be discussing sequences of consonants that occur across word or syllable boundaries, as these pose the same challenges to students. For example, explain. What's that? In these examples, the consonant clusters are divided by a word or syllable boundary, but in connected speech, the consonants cluster together. So how can we pronounce these words and phrases easily? Let's take a look at the first hack now. Hack number 1, blending. Consonant clusters are also known as consonant blends because the sounds happen simultaneously and blend together. So although they may look like a series of sounds from the transcription, the mouth actually produces them at the same time. Let's look at an example from earlier. The first sound in split is s. This is produced by raising the tongue towards the ridge of the mouth until it produces a hissing sound. As this is happening, my lips start to close in anticipation of the p sound. As soon as my lips close and air pressure starts to build up, my tongue touches the ridge of my mouth, so that when my lips part and the air is released, the l sound follows immediately after. Split, split, split. This entire process happens in a split second, and it wouldn't be possible if we produced each sound one after the other. So instead of thinking of consonant clusters as a series of sounds, think of them as a blend of sounds that happen simultaneously. Hack number 2, efficiency. Blending is a lot harder when the sounds are produced in a similar way or a similar part of the mouth, but these clusters often occur across word boundaries in phrases such as, what's that? In this case, the t and s sounds are produced in a similar part of the mouth, and the s and th sounds are produced in a similar way, so we can't blend these consonants easily. Instead, we need to position the tongue cleverly so that we can transition between the sounds as efficiently as possible. The t sound is produced by blocking and releasing air between the tongue and the ridge of the mouth. So, to produce the s sound, all we have to do is release the tongue slightly so that it lowers just enough for air to pass through and produce the s sound. The s sound is produced between the blade of the tongue and the ridge of the mouth, whereas the v sound is produced between the tip of the tongue and the teeth. So, to transition to the v sound, all we need to do is lower the blade of the tongue a bit more and raise the tip of the tongue towards the teeth until it produces a sound. So if we put it all together, it sounds like what's that? As you can see, this consonant cluster can be produced with minimal tongue movement, simply by positioning the tongue correctly and producing the sounds accurately. So avoid overpronouncing the sounds and instead just do the bare minimum necessary to produce the cluster. If you find it difficult to transition between these sounds, it may be because you're not producing the sounds correctly. If this is the case, I recommend you watch my other videos on phonemes for information about how to produce the sounds correctly. Hack number 3, elision. Elision is when we remove sounds, and it commonly occurs when the t or d sounds appear between consonants at the end of words. For example, best friend, second hand. This type of elision happens with such regularity that it's almost a pronunciation rule, and I've already made a video about it, which I recommend you watch for further information. However, sounds can also be elided from consonant clusters to make them easier to pronounce. For example, the t sound may be elided in axe. The f sound may be elided in fifths. The t sound may be elided in attempts. And the s sound may be elided in sixths. Hack number 4, assimilation. Assimilation is when one sound changes under the influence of another, and it generally affects alveolar sounds. The way in which these sounds change depends on the sounds that follow them, and they're commonly assimilated before velar or labial sounds in words and phrases such as vodka, light bulb. I've already made a video about this type of assimilation, which I recommend you watch for further information. However, there are other types of assimilation which are less well known. For example, the t and n sounds may be dentalized in words such as months and eighths. This means the air is blocked between the tongue and the teeth, making the following th sound easier to produce, because all we have to do is release the tongue slightly so that air can pass through and produce a sound. Similarly, the and n sounds may be replaced with a labiodental nasal in words such as comfort and invite. This means the air is blocked between the top teeth and the bottom lip, making the following f and v sounds easier to produce, because all we have to do is release the bottom lip slightly so that air can pass through and produce a sound. These are just some of the shortcuts that native speakers take in order to make consonant clusters easier to pronounce. Well, that's the end of the lesson, but now it's your turn. Let me know what consonant clusters you find difficult to pronounce in the comments below. And remember to like and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.